Okay, we're on Pesachim, Perek Gimel, Mishnah Aleph, the first Mishnah in the third chapter of Pesachim. I'm checking my microphone. Okay, in order to understand this Mishnah, I have a little chart for you. So we've learned before that there are different types of Chametz, and based on what kind of Chametz you eat, there's a different level of Isur. So the first one is the basic level, Chametz Gamor. If you eat Chametz Gamor, if you eat a kezayit of Chametz on Pesach, you're chayav karet. That's not a good idea. I would stay away from that. Okay, but if you eat, let's say you eat tarovet chametz. So now, you're not eating chametz only regular chametz like bread, but you take chametz and you mix it in, I don't know, you mix it in with something else in order to make like a patty, for example. So I take breadcrumbs and I mix it with tuna, I make tuna patties. So that's tarovet chametz. It's part tuna, part chametz. So if you eat a kezayit, b'kedei achilat pras, a pras is a half a kikar, and it's either 3 kibetzim or 4 kibetzim. We learned actually very recently in Pesach Eruvin what a pras was. So and the time it takes to eat a pras, which is a big, huge machloket, but whatever, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 9 minutes, 8 minutes, whatever. If you can eat a kezayit, if eating this tarovet, if eating these tuna patties, theoretically tuna patties have a lot of breadcrumbs in it. So you eat 3 or 4 tuna patties in a kedei achilat pras in 8 minutes. You ate a kezayit of this chametz, of this tarovet chametz. That's an isur d'oraita. We're going to see. Kol machmetzet lo tocheli. You can't eat machmetzet. Now, what happens though if you eat tarovet chametz, and then there isn't a kezayit in kedei achilat pras? There is chametz in it, but it's much less chametz. Or we're going to talk about what's called chametz nuksha. Chametz nuksha is inedible chametz. So what's the halacha in that case? That's the topic of our Mishnah. Says the Mishnah, Elu ovrin b'Pesach. Ovrin, in this context, the Bartunura and the Kantin all say, Elu mit abrim min ha'olam. You have to get rid of them. Ta'af agav de'ein ovrim alehem bal yira'eh. Even though there's no Isur bal yira'eh bal yimatzeh. Bal yira'eh is the Isur d'oraita that cannot be seen in your house. Midirabanan mihat tzrichei biur. The Rabbanan require biur. Because we learned se'or, yisarif. Se'or is going to be leavening agent, which we're going to see is sourdough stuff. You have to burn it. Avagav de ochlo pater. So even though if you eat it, you're not chayav d'oraita. So there are things that are d'Rabbanan that have to be gotten rid of. What are they? These are what we call, that we just said, tarovet chametz, mixtures of chametz. Even though if you eat it, you're not going to be chayav d'oraita, you have to get rid of it. For example, kutach habavli. Kutach habavli is Babylonian kutach, which is a kind of bread pudding. Okay, the Bartuner would say it's not pudding. It's made mipat me'ufash v'chalav. It's like a mixture. They would use it as a dip. So pudding, I think, conjures the idea that it's much harder. Maybe not. They would use it as a dip. Anyway, it's mostly milk whey or something. I don't know. Somebody's got to make a meal out of this stuff. Shechar hamadi, okay, and Median beer, chometz adomi, Edomite vinegar, zaytum hamitzri, Egyptian zaytum. If you want to know how you make zaytum. So all these are mixtures that are liquids that are made with chametz. The shechar is made with chitim, with wheat. Okay, that's chametz. It's chametz, you have to get rid of it. If you drink it, it's not asidi oraita, but it's booze. Okay, chometz, this is the vinegar made in Edom, in Edomite. They put sorim, barley, and wine. Zaytum hamitzri, 3 sareh, 3 measures barley, 3 kurtime, which is karkom. Karkom is karkom, I don't remember. Karkom, some spice. Okay, you remind me. Okay, and 3 salt, 3 mixtures of salt, and then you mix them up in water, and they make it for refuah. So all of these things are right in it. It says ad kan chametz ha'ra'ui le'achila ayedei tarovet, or as we call them tarovet chametz. So that's all these things are tarovet chametz that are mostly liquid, less chametz. You cannot eat a kezayit in achilat, in kedei achilat pras. Nonetheless, all of these you have to get rid of. Other things, zoman shel tzabaim. This is painter's zoman. The Kahati says zoman is water mixed with subin, mixed with oats, I think, subin or barley. Okay, bran water. Okay, or zoman shel tzabaim. Zoman is a painter's bran, or it's bran water they use for whatever. Amelan shel tabachim. It's a dough used by cooks. Okay, which they would have in the pots. The pots wouldn't close exactly, so they would make this kind of like very weak dough with bad wheat. They would save the bad wheat and make this dough in order to seal the pots. Or kolan shel sofrim, or scribes glue. In order to glue things together, they would make the glue with chametz. All those things are called chametz nukshe. which means inedible chametz. All things are not edible, but you still have to get rid of them. Rabbi Lezer Omer, af tachshite nashim. Rabbi Lezer says even tachshite nashim is makeup. Why makeup? So let's do the Bartanura for a second. Rabbi Lezer Mosif, he says, De'ilu Tanakama letle ela chametz dagan gamur. The Tanakama says chametz tarovet, or chametz nukshe, or inedible. Rabbi Lezer Mosif, af tachshite nashim, even tachshite nashim, women's, we're going to see adornments, beauty. Shem chametz nukshe al yedei tarovet. It's chametz nukshe that's then mixed with something else. So we have to add that, actually add that to our list. Rabbi Lezer says, we'll just add this to the list. We'll copy. Chametz nukshe al yedei ta'arov. I don't know if we pass them like him. I'm sure we do because we get rid of everything in our day and age. Nonetheless, I don't know if we pass them halachically, but we're machmir. Rabbi says af tachshitei nafshim, and the Gemara says, well, 1 second. Let's go back to the Bartanura for a second. The Gemara says, what? How does it make up? Elaim af tfulei nashim, tipul, things that they use for their beauty products. Solet nashim toflot umechabrot al basaran. So they would take this solet, fine flour, and then they would make it tafel. They would make a mixture of it inedibly, and then they would connect it to their bodies with samamnim acharim, with other samamnim are elements, spices. Samamnim are like medicines. Lashir taseyar, your hair removes. They had all these natural beauty products that they would make, including chametz. Rabbi says you got to get rid of those. You can't have those on Pesach. Zaklal. This is the rule. Kol shehu mibin dagan. If it's made out of dagan, out of grain, harehu over b'Pesach. Over, you have to get rid of it on Pesach. Harei elu be'azhara, and all of these things are be'azhara. They're an azhara. They're a din. We'll see in a second what this means. A warning, din d'oraita. Ve'en be'em mishum karet. But there's no isur karet. So let's look at the conclusion of the Bartanura. Okay, anything that's michameshet minim, uma oravim be'hamayim, and there's water in it, because if there's no water, then there's no chametz. Harei elu be'azhara. There's im ochlam over belav. You violated the oraita. That's what we said. If you eat them tarovet of kazayik v'dei achilat pras, then you have a deoraita. But, okay, harei be'azara. But the Mishnah said, be'ein behem mishum karet. Al chametz gamor anush karet. If you eat chametz gamor, there's karet. Ein anush karet al tarovet. There's no karet if they have the mixture. Avaloke al achilato. But if you eat kazayik chametz b'toch kedei achilat pras, if you eat the tarovet kedei achilat pras, then you have an azhara, as we said. Avalim lo achal kazayit chametz betocha ta'arovet gedei achilat pras. But if you eat, for example, the kutach, the pudding, you can't eat a kazayit. There's just a teeny bit of chametz in it. Eino lo min Torah. There's no malkut. Miu isira mia ika, but there's an isur. The chametz b'Pesach oser b'ta'aruvato b'chol shu. Chametz on Pesach. So these things, nonetheless, let's merge these cells and we'll say asur midirabanan. The Rabbanan said it's asur, and you have to v'chayav laha'aviro min ha'olam. You have to burn it. You have to get rid of it because that's what the Chametz said. And then Rabbi Lezer, this is a chumrah shel Rabbi Eliezer. We'll stop here. As always, if you have comments or questions, email me at arsbolter@gmail.com. We'll dedicate learning to the memory of my father, Rav Simcha ben Yitzchak Kalman. Have a great day.